Well, hey, welcome back. Dave Dubeau here. And today we're going to be talking about how to start investing in commercial real estate. Now, there's actually 8 different classifications of commercial real estate. I've got experience investing in 2 of those, but today we're going to be talking about how to invest in any one of them if you're starting from scratch. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 9 simple steps for getting started with investing in commercial real estate. There's 8 different types. I've invested in 2 of them, but if I were to invest in the other ones, these are the exact steps I would go through myself. And then I'm going to share a case study with you at the end. All right, so the first step would be to get clarity on which kind of commercial real estate investing you want to focus on. There's 8 different kinds. I'm going to have to refer to my notes because I can't remember them all off the top of my head. But the ones I'm familiar with that I've done myself are commercial residential, so apartment buildings and office space as well. But there's all sorts of other commercial real estate as well. So for example, we've got industrial space, we've got retail space, hotels and hospitality, mixed use, land, and special purpose. So you need to get clarity on what they are and which one you want to focus on. That's step number 1. You need to know exactly what target you're focusing on. Now, when most people hear about commercial real estate, they're thinking about multifamily properties, apartment buildings. So we'll kind of go along with that for the purpose of this video today. So the next step is getting education. You don't want to just charge in and try and figure it out from scratch. You want to get education, learn from other people who've done what you want to do and who've taken those hard knocks, and you can avoid making those same mistakes that they've made. You can take a shortcut. So there's all sorts of different things. Start off by reading books, listening to podcasts, that kind of stuff, attending webinars. Those are all good. It's kind of superficial type level. Then once you really focus in on what you want to do, I highly recommend that you join your local real estate investment association, find other people who are actively doing what you want to do, invite them out for lunch, you pay for the lunch, kind of get the gist of what they're up to, maybe tour one of their properties, maybe get involved with a deal with them. You can also look at getting formal training, find somebody that offers a good training or a course on what you want to learn, invest in that program, invest in coaching, invest in mentoring. All of these things, although coaching and mentoring, that kind of thing can get kind of expensive, it pales in comparison to, number 1, how much money it can save you from not screwing up, and number 2, how much money it can make you by getting you going a lot faster without making mistakes. Next thing you want to do is you want to get clarity on what market you want to be focusing on. So now you know what the asset class is. Let's say it's multifamily properties, apartment buildings, and you've gotten some education about it and you're connecting with people. Next thing you want to do is really, really laser focus on one particular market. I can't tell you how many people I've talked with that say, well, it doesn't really matter where the deal is. I'll do a deal anywhere. If they're just getting started, that's not a good idea. It's really good to focus, focus, focus. Become absolutely an expert on one particular market, one particular city, ideally one area within that city, so that you know exactly what's going on. I live in a small city, but between one side of town and the other side of town, there's a massive difference in real estate investing. There's a massive difference in multifamily properties. So you have to be aware of that even within one city. The next step is to get actively involved in a deal. That doesn't mean you necessarily need to come out of pocket and buy your first deal under your own financial steam, although I highly recommend that you do that. But once you're getting into commercial type investments, that gets to be pretty expensive. But what you can do is you can partner with somebody who's actively doing the kind of deals that you want to do. That's a really good idea, actually. So maybe you bring some money to the table, maybe you bring some skill set to the table, but you partner with somebody who's actively doing what you want to do, and you pay to play. So you don't want to just be a passive investor. You want to be actively learning the business from the inside out. And you're going to learn a lot better if you got some skin in the game, either financially or work-wise. Now, here's the beautiful thing. While you're getting that experience, you're already creating a track record for yourself, and you're already creating a case study that you can use to show to other potential investors or joint venture partners down the road when you want to start doing your very own deals. Next step is you want to create your power team. Now there's a shortcut there. If you're partnering up with somebody that's actively doing what you want to do, you can just grab their team. Why not? It's already created it. So that's a shortcut there. Otherwise, you're going to be building up your team depending on what it is that you need. So realtors, finance specialists, appraisers, inspectors, property management, maintenance, all these kind of folks that you're going to need. Start building up that team right from the get-go. Now, the sixth thing that you want to do is you want to start planting the seeds for capital. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're serious about this, you're going to have to start using other people's money to scale up your portfolio. There's only so much that you can do on your own. So at this point, whether you've got a deal on the go or not, you should start planting the seeds about what you're doing to get people curious about what you're up to with real estate investing. Lots of different ways to do this. You can follow a formal plan like we recommend, but informally you can do this if you do it properly on social media. And the best way to do that on social media is to educate people, is to show people. Don't directly try to solicit funds on social media, but you can show people what you're up to, what your journey is, what you're doing. So if you're out at an active building site or an active work site doing something, take a selfie, take a video of yourself doing the thing, and use that on social media. Talk a little bit about what you're up to. Do deal walkthroughs. Share your screen and record that and show people how you're looking at and analyzing deals without getting into too much detail. But just show people that you're actively doing stuff, and that will get them thinking about it. That's planting the seeds for capital. Next step is you want to get a case study. You want to get a deal on the go. We talked about this a little bit with joining forces with another person to get experience. Well, the other big benefit of that is you're going to be creating an actual example that you can show to potential investors to get them on board with your future deals. So again, if you're following my recommendations, you're always raising capital. You're raising the capital, getting the investors lined up before you've got the deal. So you get your presentation put together, and then you use your case study in your presentation, and you point to it and you say, hey, this is a deal that we're working on right now, how it works out financially. Here's what's in it for our investor partners. So you're able to use that as a case study, as an example. It just makes it so much more real, and it builds up your credibility and your authority in the eyes of your potential investors because they can see that you're actively doing deals. Next thing you want to do is you need to start generating deal flow. Lots of different ways to do this. Traditionally, obviously, you're going to go through a realtor. They're going to be looking through the market. If you're doing commercial deals, you want to focus on a commercial realtor. If you're in a big center, you can find different realtors that have different specialties. Find the one that's the best specialist in the kind of deals that you want to do and start looking at deals that way. If you want to be really proactive, you can start beating the bushes for off-market deals. So focus in on exactly the kind of properties that you want to buy, find out who the buyers are, and approach them directly. I love direct mail. It works very, very well. Get them curious, get them picking up the phone, calling you. It's a lot easier than trying to cold call people. So direct mail works very well for finding off-market deals. The other thing you can do is attend your local real estate investment association or real estate club and let people know what you're looking for. Chances are other active real estate investors in your area might not be focused on that particular asset class, but they might know of opportunities. So make sure you get the word out that way. Step number 9 of how to get started in investing in commercial real estate is to start raising capital. Start getting your investor ducks in a row. And this is by marketing, that constant, consistent, edutaining communication, laser focusing in on a specific target group of potential investors. People within your own sphere of influence is the best way to get started. So you want to start raising the capital, or at least getting people signed off on expressions of interest before you get a deal under contract. Because that way you know when you do get a deal, you've got the capital to back you up. Here's a big tip for you. Always have more capital lined up than you think you need. What do I mean by that? Well, what we show our clients to do is to get potential investors to sign off on expressions of interest. So let's say, for example, you're doing a commercial deal, and on average, you need $500,000 to do the kind of deal that you want to do. I'm just pulling that number out of the air. Well, instead of just having 5 investors signed off on expressions of interest for $100,000 each, I would shoot for getting 10 investors signed off on expressions for $100,000 each, so having $1 million lined up. So that way, when I've got a deal, I know that a few people are going to flake out, but I will have the capital that I need when I need it. Ask me how I learned that the hard way. Now, we got lots of different clients that have started investing in commercial real estate. A lot of them invest in multifamily properties. Some of them invest in self-storage facilities. Others invest in mobile home parks. Others invest in raw land. One of my favorite stories is Jon and Paul. These guys are business partners, and they invested in self-storage facilities. And they went from, before they were doing single family homes, then they got into small multifamily properties. Then they heard about self-storage facilities. They really liked the idea of that. No tenants to deal with. So they moved into that asset class. But they had to learn how to raise capital for that. So we were fortunate we started working with them. They very, very quickly raised over $1 million for one of their deals, $1.5 million for another deal. And eventually, fairly quickly actually, they built up a significant portfolio. They were able to liquidate that and exit the rat race permanently. So they both retired financially free thanks to real estate, thanks to commercial real estate, and bringing on joint venture partners. Speaking of bringing on joint venture partners, if you want a surefire way of doing that without having to chase people, without having to, cold call people or come across as salesy or manipulative, then we've got the perfect method for you. I call it the Money Partner Formula. If you'd like to find out more, I've got a free book. It's called Money Partner Formula, and you can find it at investorattractionbook.com or click on the link in the description below.